G'day everyone, welcome back to the Zero Access Footy podcast. I am once again joined by my co-host, Behm. What's your name this week? We'll just go with Gyati. That's always a classic. Behm Gyati, we've got him, otherwise known as the Premiership called up. I appreciate you guys once again tuning into episode 17 of the podcast. Getting way up there now.
This is very much an outro intro, mate.
Yeah, it very much is.
Yeah.
I'm just going to post this at the end of this one too. But we've got a lot to talk about as per usual. We're going to go through round reviews, but we're going to talk about all things positive and negative throughout the week that we found too, including some more, I guess, drama updates, as you love to do with certain individuals. But let me know, how are you thinking about the first week of...
I've got to have my sources to be able to tell those.
St Kilda football after the bye.
Yeah, fuck off, St Kilda. Sorry, YouTube, for tanking it in the first minute, but yeah, not happy.
Not a great week for St Kilda fans.
No.
I think we both predicted this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Are the Dogs as good as we think they are? I mean,
Still no.
This was the first game that we really saw an entire game of Sam Darcy and Bont together. Bont actually was kind of held back, but I mean, it didn't really matter.
No.
The rest of the Dogs were able to absolutely blitz them. 72 points was the final margin, and I'd guess 60, you would guess 59.
You got the Chuckies in that one.
I'm very happy with that, and I don't know how we both actually got below it, so quite funny that one. But
is it just simple enough to say that we're dog shit? Like,
I don't know. You had mentioned that you expected this to happen.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I don't know if it's just a simple, we're awful type thing, because it's not like Essendon in their inexperienced type games, which we'll talk about in a sec.
We had the exact same amount of over 29-year-olds as Collingwood this week.
Yeah.
And Collingwood we have the fourth youngest list. They have the oldest list in AFL history. And we both had the same amount of over 29-year-olds. We had 10 29 plus and 10 24 and under. So 20 of our 23 players were either at the backstage of their career or too early to tell. You compare that to the Bulldogs, basically everyone's in their prime.
Yeah, definitely feels more like a Saints loss than a Dogs win. But we'll end it there for you. Cut your pain off short.
Thank you.
Hawks versus Crows, a surprisingly low-scoring affair. This ended up being a 3-point win to the Hawks.
Tell me, you were spot on.
Is this a pressure thing? Is this like them being able to push the pressure consistently now? Because we saw with the Dogs, that first quarter especially, they really pushed it. This one as well seems to be the same type of discussion we're having. They've really ramped it up. They've tried to find their identity again after the struggle they've had.
Yeah, well, the first half for Hawthorn was dog shit. Like, they were very simply 10 goals worse. You play that for a full game, you're just as bad as Essendon. Like, they were deplorable. And they ramped it up in the second half, and had Adelaide have kicked accurately, which is a topic for Adelaide because of what happened last week.
Funny enough, I was going to say after last week.
Yep. So they won a game based off of accuracy, and they lost a game based off of accuracy. But for Hawthorn, it is a little bit. If their midfield gets going, then their ball movement starts to go, and then their defense tightens up, and then they're able to score more freely.
It looked like Dylan Moore was able to get himself really going this game too. So beautiful step up from him as well.
When
I think
it's
just players needing to find when they're needing to find their identity and needing to find those moments to really open up a game. Those guys need to step up, and thankfully it looks like Hawthorn had that in that second half. But you mentioned inaccuracy is the big thing for the Crows.
Yeah, frustrating for them. They should have won this game. They were in front and aside from like 5 minutes all game. And after Hawthorn took the lead, I think it was due to Newcombe in the end, they took the lead right back because Nick Watson was on Isaac Rankin in the defensive 50. And Isaac Rankin kicked the goal. Not what you want if you're a Hawthorn player.
I don't know how he got himself in that position.
Yeah.
But overall, my
tough Adelaide.
little extra thing for this one is, where do we rank Keys in that forward line? Because he had a fantastic game despite the result.
It's sort of part of a further discussion. Obviously, Kane Corns is huge on their 3 tools, not really working.
Yeah.
But I think it does work because you need that aerial support unless you have a medium forward. And Keys can play that, but more as a tagger. Rochelle is not that player. Lockie Murphy's not that player. Rankin is a pure small forward. So I think they need those 3 tools, and that allows Keys to be able to do this role where he can play as a defensive small forward, but he can hit the scoreboard, and that's his best asset. Whatever he does without the ball is great, but when he gets the ball, he's so dangerous.
Yep, absolutely. Next game up, this is our big game of the week. Lions versus the Giants, one of the big ones. Despite the crazy output of goals from individuals, not even as a team, from individuals in this game. The big one was Jack Payne going down with a knee injury. Unfortunately, I'd seen that one happen as in the moment, and it's awful to see. When the stretcher comes out and the immediate sign, no contact from other players, it's just a pure landing, see the pain, it's awful to see. So I hope he recovers quickly. I'm not sure what the news is on it, but it looked very bad, so I'd say it's season ending. Yeah, that is very tough. But this is one of a few notable home losses now that Brisbane has taken. So obviously Collingwood, understandable, but the Melbourne one and now this GWS one against a GWS side that is so topsy-turvy.
Yep.
The only thing I really said for GWS is I knew it. I said all last week, such a vibes game. This is such a game that GWS can win. I just know it'll happen. And look what happened. You see Cadman and Hogan with the big ones.
Yeah, 6 goals from Cadman, breakout game. That's going to be
6 goals from Hogan, 5 goals from Cadman.
Okay.
But 5 goals from Logan Morris too, which is the other thing I wanted to mention. Just some individual brilliance in the forward line from both sides.
I mean, I think it's pretty funny when you're talking about key forwards having a brilliant season. And you've been bagging me having Sydney first. You had Eric Hipwood third in your Coleman medal, by the way.
Logan Morris is better than Hipwood right now.
And I told you that.
But I had reasoning behind it. Yeah, you did tell me that Logan Morris could take it. I had reasoning as to they don't have Danaher. He would presumably be the next option, but Morris has gone and overtaken him, it feels like. So yeah, definitely I'm not defending that choice. It was a bad one. Yeah. It was really just a chuck it up in the air and see what happens, but it was clearly
rage bait.
Not the best one. Yeah.
Clear rage bait.
You've written here Orange Tsunami back.
Yes. I'd been on it for a few weeks saying that their ball movement just wasn't there. They weren't able to get that run and dash that, their midfielders come back and they get that surge going where it's just unstoppable. And they were able to get it back, especially in that first half. Like their ball movement was pristine. Brisbane, they've been defensively lacking recently. We've seen that with some of their games where they just don't.
And now with an injury to one of their better players too.
Yeah, when they're not as solid as they were last year. And then Brisbane just took control of the game. GWS just took control of the game. Brisbane had no answer for it. Like Brisbane scored really well, but they weren't able to defend. Obviously, no pain makes a big deal in that. But I just thought that I think they chucked Eric Hipwood back at times, potentially.
Well, my Coleman prediction looks fucking awesome now.
Very good point. But yeah, for them, I was more concerned about their height being an issue with that, where it's just not allowing them to get that speed and sort of waves of running. It was still there with Leaker, Iden, Himmelberg, Buckley, Taylor, all still in the lineup.
Yeah.
So not a bad win, but I still don't think GWS are in that premiership contention.
Yeah.
I still think that their best and their worst are way too far apart, and they still rely on so few. Like Callaghan was back, great, but you beat a Brisbane team that lost their key defender throughout the game.
Agreed.
It also leads questions to Brisbane. This is 2 weeks in a row now where they've lost the game off of accuracy.
Yeah.
And this is an issue that they've had for a long time.
Yeah, I agree, though, with the idea that I don't think GWS are at premiership contention just at this moment. Yep. They're very much in a bit of a no man's land as to what you're going to expect each week, hence why I gave the vibes prediction. Bombers versus Cats. This one became so clear towards the end of the game that the inexperience of the Bombers, I don't even blame the Bombers too much for this one.
No, you can't.
I think they got their experience. When you play a team like the Cats who just have talent all around the ball, they're all clicking, they look so good. Mm-hmm. Got to a point where the only way that it got out of the Bombers' backline is if Geelong kicked a goal and it went back to the middle. And it's not because of poor form, not because of poor plays. You could maybe blame a few from Xavier Dersma. He had a few that looked a bit iffy, but the Bombers themselves, I like a lot of their younger players. I really do. Their debutant in the backline who got stuck on Shannon Neal, I feel so bad for him because it was a tough game to be a debutant backman. He gave it his all. Look, Angus Clark looks fantastic. I really like Angus Clark. He's doing some good things. Even Jezza, I think, at one point, when he knew the game was out of reach, was going, yeah, no, that was a good one, mate. Well done. Like one of those pity,
At this stage, just forfeit the game.
Well, it kind of felt like they resigned themselves to, game's over.
Yeah, no
Let's just
point.
play it out. So 95
don't want
point
anyone
loss.
else injured.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they still have to debut someone else for Bombers. I mean, you got.
I'm not going to blame them too
Yeah,
much.
can't blame
Realistically,
them.
elsewhere in this round, they actually got a win, and I'll talk about that in just a second.
Okay, but for them Geelong, just simple win. What they should have done, and
Cruisy
they've now
as.
moved up to second. So,
Cruisy as.
fuck, why are they so good? Is all I got to say.
Roos versus Dockers.
So close.
Oh my
So
god! I
close.
was so excited for this one. I was just hoping for a competitive game.
You got that.
And I got it. I'm very happy.
Yep.
We showed some fight back in the fourth quarter. Surprisingly, some decent fourth quarter performances as of recent. Only one has been against Collingwood. That was actually the one game where it's been the opposite. We played good all game and then lost it in the fourth. But comeback win against West Coast in a game that honestly we should have lost. This game, I would have loved if we had taken the win. There were two moments that I think, if only they went our way. Like
Nick
the Finn
Larkey.
O'Sullivan, the Finn O'Sullivan, fresh airy,
Yep.
the Nick Larkey tackle in front of goal that could have been holding the
have been.
ball. I don't know. I honestly haven't seen the angles enough to know whether it technically was, but I never like to blame it on those small moments. I think overall throughout the game, you've got to look at what actually lost you it. And it was that 5-minute stretch at the end of the second quarter that the Dockers, they woke up, basically.
I
You
looked
had
at the
hinted
score.
at it. You had hinted at the post-buy kind of rust.
It was
that they
there
needed
on
to take.
display. Like, I looked at the score, 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and you guys were like, I think you were up by 3 points.
I think we were up
And then I check at halftime, and you're down by 21 points.
21.
And I'm just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it's just it's a ruse thing where we fade away for a little bit, but
Yeah.
that was what ultimately lost it for us. I've said here for the Dockers, they should just take the W and run.
Yeah,
I think this
100%.
could have been a game they really got some percentage off of, but they didn't. It's kind of been the way Freo have gone this year. Some really sketchy games here and there. But again, you take the win, you keep moving, you're in the 8. So there's positives here after this one still.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for the Roos, very competitive 5-game stretch is what I've said.
Better.
Yeah.
A lot. This is the performances we need to expect every week.
Yeah, no, actually,
You cannot, with this list,
100%.
you cannot be battered by 80 points in
100%.
any game anymore.
Yeah.
Ever.
The Roos are at the point now where they've gotten so much experience, they've played together enough. I think they're getting to that point.
Yeah.
I think they are starting to turn a little corner, not like towards making finals anytime soon, but they're starting to just show that competitive edge. And then once they start seeing more wins on the board, like if they can pick up 1 or 2 before the end of the year, they can get to 6. A 6 is a big ask, but they do play Richmond again. And they've got some games here and there that you wouldn't count them out of either. So I think there's a chance that we see 6.
Need to
Definitely
get 5.
5. Definitely
Need to
5.
get
They
5.
need to get there. Power versus D's. Now,
I called this a shit game, and
it kind of was.
yeah,
It wasn't too
It was
much
it was a
going on.
close bad game. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. For me, I've written here, so I mentioned before, this is Essendon's win. Because Demons are now in the bottom 4. And we remember, that's Essendon's pick. So while they didn't have the win on the field, they're definitely getting the win out of this matchup. Power have kind of thrown their season back into form. I say into form, but we definitely had higher expectations for them. So,
Oh God, I had them in top 4. I think.
yeah, I don't think I had them that high, but I think I had them in the 8. So it brings them to 10th. They are still in the mix.
But it's like 2 games out the 8.
Yeah.
There's a fair bit of a gap. You've got here Georgiades day out. This was one of the best key forward performances I've seen all year. 7 goals, 4.
Had a
He could have
massive
had a huge day, an even better day out. But I still thought that Stephen May, who was on him for like 3 quarters, also had a decent game. It was really weird.
Yeah, okay, that's very strange because I just had noticed the stat line. I'm like, wow, that's a really good game from Georgiades. I didn't expect that, but I hadn't seen the game properly. But I didn't know Stephen May had played all that well. You'd seen the usual guys like Max Gawn got around the ground, Connor Rose off the halfback, I think more and more. I'm not sure if he's getting in the midfield, but he's having a fantastic season individually. Lots of those usual guys. But yeah, when I saw Georgiades, I'm like, whoa, 7 goals, 4.
He was on Daniel Turner at the start of the game because Melbourne were like, yeah, okay, that running ability and that athleticism, we'd prefer Turner. And then he tore him in the air. So then they had to switch to May. And then he was able to get around May because May's not great around the ground.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pickett, great first half. But if you're getting a 9-year deal and you need consistency, he was dog shit in the second half with 2 touches.
Unfortunately, those smaller guys, I feel like you're always bound to have something like that, though.
Yeah, but like you just sort of need that balance in your game. You can't just be great for a half and then not back it up.
Yep.
No matter how good you need. If you are doing that in the first half, you can do that again. So I just think that
It
was
could
a
have
bit
been the
poor.
way that Power also changed up the way they played against him.
A little bit. But again, Bergman wasn't on him, so
Yeah.
he's their tagger.
The last question before we move to the last game for the Ds, is this their season over?
Technically, they could still make finals, but should they?
I don't think so.
The thing that I see with them is because they don't have their first round pick and they want to bring in some talent, they can't just do with this list again.
Yeah.
They either need to be really good and say to teams, we've got a really solid base. Maybe we trade away another future first rounder to be able to get into this draft. Or do they say, let's fully rebuild, let's be bad this year, and let's try get someone else's pick in. See if that, and I'd prefer the second option because you've already got a really solid core of some young players. See what you can get for someone like Viney, Oliver, Harrison Petty.
Yeah.
Put him on the board. See what you can get for those sort of players.
Sounds good. Last game, small things here and there.
Yeah.
I just said for the Eagles, the bye couldn't come soon enough.
Yeah,
the poor
100%.
buggers.
Yep.
They're going through a rough patch. Also, Harley Reid had a little bit of an accident. Oh, I say accidental, but it could have been intentional. It's going to be hard to tell. But elbowed Darcy Fogarty in a kind of almost inconspicuous way, where he comes back out of the tackle and just hits him with his elbow. I don't know if there's going to be any look at that one, but it looked like there was some intent in there. So I don't know if that gets a look.
We've seen from Liam Bacon where you can go like this into the back of someone's neck and be fine. We've seen from someone else go into someone's neck with this action, so I think it should be fine if that's the case.
We'll see how that goes. And finally, Tom McCarthy had a fantastic debut. 31 disposals in his first game. Is actually
first ever Eagle this season to get 30 touches.
Oh,
to get 30 touches.
Oh my God, that's
no
insane
other player
stat.
had 30 touches.
That's
he got
insane.
In his first game.
Huge win for the Eagles there. That is a fantastic little...
He looks at home across that halfback flank.
That's great to see for the
really
Eagles.
Good pick
That's
there.
really good. For the Blues, though, I said it just felt uninspired. Nothing too crazy about the game.
Yeah.
They did get off to a really big first half lead,
Yep.
but really just parked the bus towards the end.
Yeah,
and
fun stat. Last 2 weeks, Carlton have scored more points in the first quarter than they have the rest of the game combined.
That's so good. I love that. That's where we're going to end that little discussion about the round review.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to Macca's Man of the Week. I don't actually have the second part because we do plan... I actually am fully down to go with the second half
I can do
of
the
this.
second part.
Okay,
I'll do
worries.
the second part.
No
this
worries.
week.
You'll do
Yeah.
the second part. We got
Yep.
Macca's Man of the Week. 1 vote this week. Going to give it to the young man, Aaron Cadman. I feel like this
Very
is the week to
deserved.
do it.
Yep.
5 goals for him. As I always like to do, give those ones who don't always have the greatest of weeks or aren't consistent just yet, maybe are trying to break out. Once they do have that big week, you give them their flowers and help them, I guess, keep it going. 2 votes. I'm going Bailey Smith. I know the contention with this one, with you at least, was Max Holmes was better in that game. And I can see it. He absolutely had a fantastic game. I think the big thing throughout the entire game was just Bailey Smith's disposal efficiency, and his kicking isn't as good as Max Holmes, but just Bailey Smith gets around it so much. I mean, if we're talking individual numbers, he got to 41 compared to Max Holmes's, I think he had 37. Honestly, it's just comparing greatness on both sides. But I think Bailey Smith definitely deserves it, and he's having himself a fantastic season. 3 votes. I gave it to Caleb Sarong. I originally put him at 2 and Bailey Smith at 3. But honestly, North was better than Essendon this week. So I think there's a argument to be made that Caleb's game was more impressive because he came up against a team that was more competitive. So I'm giving Caleb the 3. Had a fantastic game all over. Stat sheet stuffing. And did a whole bunch in a really wet and rough game. So
he and Brayshaw in that midfield. Like, I thought LDU really strong in that first quarter, especially. Like, I think he had the first 4 clearances of the game.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And then they fought back. Like, you guys as a team need to win clearances to win games. That's where you score, because otherwise your ball movement's not great.
Yeah.
And for them, they just really controlled that second half of the game. And that you look at that end of the second quarter, that was based off of the back of Brayshaw and Sarong's work.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Do you want to go with your part of the week?
Reese has a very funny photo that was. Is
Are
it
you
your
hoping-
farm?
Are you
Is it your? Is it your farm?
Oh, it's not mine. No,
It's not your farm.
No, I went to a farm and they had the donkey there. It's just such a good photo.
So-
I'm so glad I took this one.
I am taking lead of this first week because I have the ideas. It was
Yeah,
my
it was
idea
your
to do it.
idea, but I do want to keep it.
So
there.
Macca's Donkey of the Week.
Oh, that's so good.
Instead of sending out a thing of fries to the winner of Macca's Man of the Week, we're gonna do. Oh, that's a good change. We're gonna send a pile. We're gonna send a pile of dog shit to the winner of this one. So, one vote goes to Zach Jones of the St Kilda Football Club.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You should not be in this team.
Please
go.
Going.
2 votes. Brad Hill should not be in this team. Please go.
You hijacked it for your little hatred boner.
3 votes. The entirety of the Essendon Football Club.
Okay, Jesus, man.
90 points.
No.
95 points.
It doesn't matter. They played like... I'm pretty sure they had a 15-year-old out there. So next we'll move on to our A graders. What did you want to mention with this one?
So this is based off of the Traders podcast with Sam McClure and I forgot the other bloke's name. Shows my respect.
You're an awful media figure, you are.
Correct.
You're
yeah.
awful.
Everyone hates me. But at the start of the year, Sam McClure released his A-graders list, and there were a lot of contentious picks on it. He didn't have Jesse Hogan. I don't think he had a single Melbourne player. And there were a lot of other questionable decisions. And then it came out a couple of weeks ago that he made a couple updates. And then this week, he still does not have neither Bailey Smith or Max Holmes in his A-graders. And so I wanted to say, first of all, it shouldn't just be A-graders at the top of the list. When you're doing a tier maker, which is what basically everyone bases on, you have your S tier, which is your superstars.
Yeah.
Then you have your A tier.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
And then you get your B tier, your C tier, your D tier, and then your Essendon players. This isn't a proper Essendon hate watch. But anyway.
You're always going for the hate watch, aren't you?
There are very clear superstars in this league. We know who they are. They're Bont, Dacos, Jezza. And then we've got a little gap between our superstars and then our A-tier players, which are borderline all-Australian players. Hugh McCluggages, your Josh Dunkleys, your... Why am I only thinking of Brisbane players? Your
Man, you got a sick
Brayshaws and Throngs. You got that second tier. For whatever reason, apparently Max Holmes, who just had the 15th highest rated game according to Champion data since they started tracking, not in there. You had Bailey Smith, who is now the Brownlow medal favourite at $3 odds, not in there. So my question is, why don't they deserve that spot? Because their performances this year have been nothing short of superb and will both be All-Australian locks. And if you are in an All-Australian lock, you are minimum A tier.
Yeah. No, you're dead on with that. 100%. I don't know how that, especially with the way Max has been playing as of recent, the last 2 weeks have been S tier.
Phenomenal.
They have been S tier those last 2 weeks. So I'm not sure how he isn't finding himself in that A grade tier just yet. Same with Bailey Smith. Are there any other? You said no Melbourne players?
I don't believe at the start of the year. I don't believe there were any Melbourne players.
Because I was going to say Max Gawn is one that.
Yeah,
he's S tier. He's S tier. He's got to be.
There was a team. It might have been Melbourne. It might not have. But there was a team that he had no one, and there were definitely a few people on that team. But let us know in the comments below if you want to see our A-graders list.
Yeah, I would be.
It's not a bad topic of discussion.
I'd be keen to do that. Absolutely. That sounds sick. Or S-graders list, because we're not idiots.
Maybe we rank every single player in the entire AFL.
I like that idea. We could make it a short too.
A 55-minute short.
Yeah, we'll just do different parts. Part 55.
Yeah, part 931.
Yeah, I can't wait. Tom Brown, DT, and then just end the short. We are content masterminds here over at the Zero
Tom
Access.
Brown fan page. Let's go.
We
Ilero Smith, player 1011.
We are fantastic here at creating content. Now, you want to have a little talk. I saw you last night doing a bit of your research and doing a bit of your working hard at Ross's Thursday crowds. Was this from a Ross Lyon quote? Is this something he said regarding Thursday night crowds?
So, in his post-match interview, someone asked about the crowd numbers at Marvel, and he responded with something like, what did he say? He said something along the lines of, it's not just an us issue. And I think that's completely fair because it is not. And I have done a bit of research into it because I am a good podcaster and this is what I do.
I'm
So-
an AFL analyst.
Aside from opening round, which there was no Thursday night games in, we've had a Thursday night game every single round.
Yep.
Round 1, 80,009 Tigers Blues MCG. Round 2, 62.7K Blues Hawks. Round 3, 25.1K Bombers Power. Round 4, 82,000 Pies Blues. Round 5, 50,073 at Crows Cats for gather round opener.
Yep.
Round 6, 34.8K up at the Gabba for Lions Pies. Round 7, 71,000, 8, 35, 9, 47,000, 10, 12,000, but that's up at TIO Stadium. Round 11, 32,000. Round 13, 35, and round 14, obviously, the 20,508 that were at the Saints Bulldogs game. Now, if you look at that, there were 8 games in Melbourne across different stadiums and 6 games interstate. The 8 games at Melbourne had an average of the venues being 63%. So if that's at the MCG, 60,000. If that's at Marvel, that's at about 30,000, just over. However, you want to exclude some of the big games because there's a reason crowds go to that. It's not just a random Melbourne-Richmond game. It's Anzac Day Eve. So you exclude those games, it goes down to 54%, a 10% drop. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ticket sales. So my point is, Melbourne crowds, if there's not something special, you barely get half of them. You get 50% of crowds coming.
Yeah.
If you compare that to interstate games, and this is my big sticking point, 71%, 82%, 101%, 78%, 94%, 94%. That's an average of 87% at every interstate game on a Thursday night. Whilst they don't have the fact that you can get 100,000 or 80,000 because that's the max, they're getting much better percentages. So my point is, the AFL need to learn, and they need to put Thursday night games, unless it's an event, the interstate games need to be on a Thursday night. Melbourne people don't want to go on Thursday nights. There's stuff on Friday. They've got work.
Yeah.
Kids have got to go to school. Where
as we all know, interstate people don't actually go to school.
No, correct. They're all illiterate and they're all idiots and they don't have jobs.
I thought you were going to say something smart with this segment, and you've just gone in. You have gone and taken out every state but one in this segment.
Non-Melbourne states are more footy obsessed than footy Melbourne teams are.
I think
so.
Melbourne,
They are going to fill out games because it's a bigger event than what a footy game is here, unless it is a round 1 opener or it's a Pies Blues rivalry.
I was going to say, would you say that Melbourne fans or fans of Victorian teams have just become used to the amount of games that are happening?
100%.
Melbourne? Because saying that and saying interstate people, everyone outside of Victoria is illiterate is a completely different thing.
You said that they don't go to school, so I went as a joke. They're illiterate.
Oh, so it was a joke now, was it? Okay, I'm sorry, mate. So your point with this whole segment, right, is to simply just mention that the Thursday night games should be just headlined by those home interstate games.
Yes.
Outside of Victoria, should I say?
Outside, I don't want, unless it's a big headliner game, I don't want Victorian games on Thursday nights anymore. Because you look at, let's say, round 3, which was Power versus Port Adelaide. You could have had, as an example, Brisbane versus Geelong up at the Gabba. That would get 100% of its crowd there. Like, compare that to the 40% that was at the Essendon Power game. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's the same number, but you're getting 100% compared to 40%.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it'll be interesting to see what is the Thursday night game coming up?
This Thursday night, we have Fremantle, Essendon. They've listened. They listened
And to you preemptively. Very nice.
2 weeks in a row. We got Adelaide versus Port Adelaide.
But this will be really
Carlton.
good to tell. And then Thursday night, North versus
Bulldogs.
I'm actually going to be at that one, so I'm going to single-handedly prove you wrong. But it'll be interesting to see how these next 2 weeks go then.
Especially in comparison to the North
After these
Bulldogs.
2 weeks, we should double-check what the percentage is in terms of how filled up the stadium is. We should have a look at that because I think that'll be really cool to come back to and see
100%.
whether maybe you're onto something here.
Yep.
It looks like there's a trend, and fair enough. I don't think there's a reason to disagree with the idea that they should be interstate games on Thursday nights.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Good work, champion. Now, I don't like what you've done here with this next segment. What's this about?
So, this is about Alistair Clarkson and my grudge with him. So,
what do you do? He's a good bloke.
So he says that the AFL hands out gifts to Collingwood and that he'd like to be the Pies. And that even Scott Pendlebury couldn't help but laugh at North Melbourne. So what he's getting at is that North Melbourne have played at 7 different stadiums over the past 9 matches. And he tried to compare that to Collingwood only playing at 7 different stadiums this year, which is quite interesting given that you guys played 7 over 9. However, I did a bit of research into this. And when you look at North Melbourne's fixture and the most recent 9 games that they have played, which goes back to round 5, that's gather round. So obviously not going to be here. Then they played at Marvel. Then you went to Adelaide. So, okay, understandable. Then you played back at Marvel. And then, you flew down to Tassie because, you still have games at Tassie. It's something your club does. Smart. Then you go to MCG, an away game against Richmond. Okay.
Won that one, by the way.
In Melbourne. Then you lost to Collingwood at Marvel. Then you lost to Collingwood. So it's another stadium, all right? You're travelling. Oh, no. But then guess what? You sold 2 games in WA to 2 stadiums. Basically, you have sold 3 games that could have been at Melbourne, but no, you decided to get some extra money because you're a failing club that has not won anything, so you have no revenue.
We've won more than you.
I mean, you factually haven't. Not in the last 5 years.
Oh, okay, you just forgot
That's
to put in
my
that
point.
parameter, did you?
It's in recent matters because you need money.
Mm-hmm.
Clubs need money.
Yep.
3 games out of your most recent 9 that have been sold. There's a reason you're not playing at home. It's because you are selling them to away games.
My rebuttal to that, do you reckon it's a situation of good message, wrong messenger? Or do you think that Collingwood has no benefits at all?
And here we get to this thing. So,
it's almost like I set you up for that one.
Me and producer did a bit of research last night.
He has a name.
And we went through, he doesn't deserve it. Don't mute my mic. We went through every team and totaled how many games they play at different stadiums. And there is one team that no one talks about. So you've got Adelaide, surprisingly only play at 7 different grounds all year, which for an interstate team is a bit surprising. Brisbane play at 10 different grounds. We're going to skip the 2 big Melbourne teams in Carlton and Collingwood because I mentioned Collingwood played at 7, but Essendon play at 8. Fremantle and Geelong also play at 8, which is quite interesting that Fremantle, now that they sold the game at Optus, get that extra game. GWS, they play at 12 different stadiums, sorry.
Yeah.
That's a lot of travel. And over here, Alistair Clarkson is complaining that they sold 3 games. Gold Coast play at 9. Here we are. So Carlson was the one I was talking about. Thanks for spoiling it. So Carlson play at 5 grounds all year.
That is actually quite insane. So, the obvious ones are
MCG, Marvel,
MCG,
Adelaide Oval, Optus, and I believe they go to the SCG.
Wow. So 5 pretty decent stadiums is all they play at. I did not know that.
They don't travel up to the Gabba. Or maybe they play at the Gabba and they don't play. I can't remember. But they don't travel up. They travel up to Sydney once. They travel up to.
They don't even touch Queensland?
They don't touch Queensland all year.
Oh my God.
And they go to Adelaide and play at Adelaide Oval twice, I believe. This is ridiculous. I'll go through the other teams. Gold Coast played at 9. Hawthorn and Melbourne 8. North Melbourne played at 10. That's part of you guys selling your games. Yeah. Port Adelaide play at 10. Richmond play at 9. St Kilda only play at 8. Interesting. But that's because a lot of our Melbourne teams that we play at the MCG we get at Marvel because we're not a big club. Sydney only play at 7. And that's the same as West Coast. That'd obviously be slightly less for West Coast given that they sold the extra game at Bunbury. So that'd be 1 somewhere else. And then Bulldogs play at 10. So everyone's outraged that Collingwood get to stay in Melbourne or Richmond get to stay in Melbourne. It's Carlson.
Dogs.
And guess what?
They still suck.
They play North and West Coast twice.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
It's unacceptable. And they played St Kilda at the MCG in a St Kilda home game.
They also played Richmond at a home game to start the season and lost that one.
Yeah, true.
What's wrong with these guys?
So,
honestly?
like, it is just ridiculous that... What is this? I'm very confused.
So these are the misconceptions.
Oh, so these are the home games.
So home games, they've got an Adelaide home
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so you guys play at Barossa, and then you have all these ones. Sell. So you can remove those 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is average. You remove the games you sold, that is average.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's why I'm saying I think it's more of a case of right message, wrong messenger. Also, wrong target.
Yeah, completely wrong target.
I wouldn't say completely wrong. Technically, he's only one team off.
I don't care.
All right,
Actually,
Mr.
when we
Analysis
look at
man.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You only play at 7, so you're just as bad as Collingwood.
I mean, if you're taking in technicalities, yes, but it's not like the team that's out there is the one who's made that decision.
I mean, you've sold games.
No, but the people who are actually playing.
Oh, the players have no choice in this. They don't,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like they haven't. It's
So I'm saying,
Clarkson.
is that
What an idiot, an imbecile, Clarkson. My God, get your team winning games.
So just get it the right team next time, and also go after Essendon a bit more. I wouldn't mind that as a North fan. We'll move on though, because it actually is a bit of an eye-opening segment, that one. But let's have a look at the 4 teams. I believe 4 teams going into a bye this week.
I
Correct?
couldn't tell you how many teams are playing.
So next week we have ourselves the Crows, the Hawks, the D's, and the Eagles all on a bye.
Okay.
I can give you an immediate answer to the Eagles. Thank God they're on a bye. Those poor buggers have had a rough year. Like you had mentioned, the crazy stat that Tom McCarthy, I believe it is,
Yep.
first player to 30 disposals for the team all season is a crazy stat. That is an insane stat with the talent. Tim Kelly, you'd think would have done it once.
He was dog shit this week.
You'd think Tim Kelly would have done it at least once.
Nope. Jack Graham, nope. Liam Baker, nope. Liam Duggan, nope.
It's debutant.
Harley Reid, nope.
Harley Reid was close this week.
Oh, how many did he have?
I think he had 27 or 28.
Oh, okay.
So he actually had a pretty decent game.
He is tracking nicely, I must say.
Yeah.
He's one who started off, there was a lot of buzz about him. But I think he's developing slowly. Like, he hasn't got that offensive game at the moment because West Coast aren't good.
They're not going to be able to give him an offensive game.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's
least not
getting
yet.
around the ground better. And I think he's starting to launch. He's getting that aerial game going that he was really strong at in his juniors. And so that's promising signs for them. Elijah Hewitt staying dangerous. Jinby developing nicely as a key back. Ryan Marrett showing some signs. Like, for West Coast, there's still some good young development. Jack Williams has shown some signs as a key forward, but they've got some questions with him and Archer Reid, who probably looks the better talent.
Yeah, I was going to say Archer Reid has shown some good signs this
He
season.
didn't play on the weekend, but they look to pursue with their 3 tours, and with Allen out and Waterman out, they're probably going to have to go back to Williams, and Reid, and then Flynn in the ruck. It just doesn't get it done.
Yeah,
anywhere.
it really doesn't. The Eagles are in a very tough spot right now. They're going to have another go at the draft, of course, this season. But you think that Richmond's going to come off better than them outside of the fact that they've got the first pick. So they're going to have the first go. Cooper Duff-Tytler is the one that I remember Dylan mentioning. And I think he'd be a good fit for West Coast. But, of course, Richmond would love to have him too.
Yeah. But it all depends on if they get the compensation pick for Oscar Allen.
That too.
Because if they have pick 1 and 2, it sets them up a lot better. Like, you look at potentially Cooper Duff-Tyler and then, like, Willem Dersma. That's a good draft pick.
This looks like a year that could potentially be seen as a placeholder for the Eagles, honestly. They may win a wooden spoon, but this could be the placeholder before we see the real spine of their team.
Yeah.
And it may be with or without Harley Reid, but there's a chance that you don't see Oscar Allen. Obviously, Barassa's gone, but you'll start to see those guys who really make up the core of the future of the Eagles.
Yeah.
And they'll come from the young guys. They'll come from the ones that we don't expect just yet. The ones who are showing signs even. I think we'll start to see all of that next year. Yeah. This year is kind of just their year.
Yeah, this is probably fast-tracking a little bit, but if you're looking at their off-season, if you get pick 1 and 2, awesome. See who you could nab at a other team that is from WA and looks to be on the outer. Devin Robertson's had a lot of talk about potentially leaving. Browden Starcevic, I know he's got the concussion issues, but could they still go for him? He'd be awesome for their back line.
Yep.
Could you go for a Jed Bustlinger, who seems consistently out of favour at the Bulldogs and would possibly want to go home? See if you can lure someone like that out, and you get 2 picks in the top 5, assuming that's the Allen and their own pick, and then you get another young player. That'd be perfect for them this offseason. But for the overall grade, I'd probably give them I wouldn't go an F. I think maybe a D minus though.
I was going to say, I feel like I have to give them an F because they've added in some talent in the offseason despite losing Barras.
Yeah.
They clearly didn't want to be last. A lot of people saw Richmond being last too.
Yeah.
So I'd say F because this is just not the way they wanted their season. They were hoping they'd also try and convince Harley Reid more and more to stay, but it just feels like more and more he's looking likely to go. The Oscar Allen debacle, that whole thing that could have been easily avoided. I think looking at that side of things, it just has to be an F.
Yeah. Yeah. You've changed my mind. Fair enough. I'd go an F as well.
Melbourne, their season, also another one considerably disappointing. I've said it a few times on the podcast, boom or bust season for these guys, and they seem to have
busted. Yep. 3 weeks ago, their season was looking really promising.
It looked like they had found form again.
They were 5-6, and they were heading up to the home game that they sold in Alice Springs against St Kilda. And then it just fell to shit. Losses to St Kilda, Collingwood, and now Port Adelaide. 2 teams that they probably on paper could have very well beat, and they just haven't. It's very, very frustrating for Melbourne fans, I'm sure, because they had 5 out of 6 games that they won in that stretch. And then now they're back at 5 and 9.
Yeah.
It's got to be so frustrating as well.
100%. The fact that, the poor start that could have been avoidable, they definitely... I don't know how the hell that North Melbourne versus Melbourne game turned out the way it did.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And then, all the other losses, and then having the weird one against Freo that they suddenly picked up. It's been a crazy, crazy weird season, and to end up in the bottom 4 at this point into the bye.
Give St Kilda that spot, please.
Well, they're nearly there.
Yeah,
they're 1 out.
I know.
They're 1 out of it. But even... as much criticism as we gave West Coast for this season, they look set up better for next season than Melbourne do.
Yep. It's a good argument because when you don't have your first round pick this year, you sort of need to be good, and they're not. So you look at some of the younger players that you're looking at, maybe we don't need a first round pick anymore. Lindsay's really good. Langford's awesome. Fucking awesome. Tolstrup's sort of been in and out of the squad. So is Windsor. He's been played as a sub a few times. Yeah. You sort of just need to stick fat with him. Like Jack Viney doesn't deserve a spot at the moment over a Langford or a Lindsay. You look at someone like Jacob Van Rooyen, it's been another stalling year for him and his development. Matthew Jefferson has played, but they just haven't consistently given him the opportunity. And then you look down back, Daniel Turner's been good. He's found his spot. But Harrison Petty, where's he? He was a piece that you could have got a couple first rounders for a few years ago that they rejected the deal for from Adelaide. They would be regretting themselves so much for not doing that trade.
The trading periods and the moves they've made have been so disastrous, it sounds like. So the missed opportunity there, the one with Essendon that has gone poorly, it's like, it feels like they're just missing so many opportunities.
They're misfiring on every cylinder at the moment.
And that's why I think West Coast actually have it set up better at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. What would your grade be? Because I'm struggling to think of one at the moment.
Well, it's a bit expected. They've shown better signs. I'd say they've been more competitive. I'm more tempted to go D. Because while we expected this to happen, it's not to say that it's good. It's not to say that it's acceptable. But I wouldn't call it a failed year.
I'd go a D+, simply because of the fact that they have blooded some youth. You've still got those 4 first-round picks over the last couple of years that I mentioned. So I think there's still some signs. It's just... do they continue to play Viney, Petrarca, Oliver in the midfield this year, or do they want to go Pickett, Langford, Lindsay?
Yep.
That's the question.
Let's move to Hawthorn. Hawthorn's the next one.
Really weird
You'd
season
think
so
they'd
far.
be... To start, they looked to be an A-plus type team.
Well, they were 4-0. Sam Mitchell was obviously talking about them not being as good as their record suggests. And then they went... where were they? They were 7-5, so they went 3-5 in their next 8, and everyone was like, "Oh, Hawthorn going to make finals this year? Is it that bad?" And then now they've had a couple of really good performances in a row, the Bulldogs game and now the Adelaide game where they were able to get the win. Really weird season. They're 9-5, but they don't look a 9-5 team. They've had really good stretches, really
There's
bad
red
stretches.
flags.
Yeah, there's red flags, 100%. You look at why they were so good last year. They were a fun, exciting team. They haven't been that this year, and they've still managed to find a way to be 9-5.
Yeah.
So
You got to give it to them. They're playing a winning style of football, if that makes sense. But you wouldn't say it's a confident winning style of football. Some big pointers, probably Sicily has been one of the biggest disappointments for this season so far this year. For you, the man who shall not be named is having a poor one as well.
Who, Josh Battle?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
no, he's according to me, he's having a great season.
Really?
Yeah. Because he's fucking up Hawthorn season.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. In that sense, yeah, I get what you're saying. And then in the most part, obviously not having Will Day is another one that you've got to look at. So maybe they see some form as finals time comes around, and when Will Day does come around again.
Yeah.
But for the moment, I'd give them a B+, because they're still in that top 8. I did say they were going to be top 4, and realistically, if everything falls into place, they could sneak there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like they're going to get it just yet, does it?
Without Will Day until like maybe around 20, then I don't think they get top 4. I think they probably sit 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You get a home final.
They may end up being a smoky, honestly.
Correct. They could do a Brisbane of last year, potentially, where they just fire really well in the back end of the year.
Yeah.
But for them, Sam Mitchell wants to be a tactically flexible coach, similar to what Chris Scott is, right? Josh Weddle, does he stick fat with him as a halfback flanker? Or with their midfield issues, can he potentially play him there? Because the commentators were saying on the weekend, in that first half, they need someone to go and win the ball. Jai Newcombe can't do it all by himself. They were thinking, could it be Nick Watson? I'm like, if you need a guy who is pure energy, who is very difficult to stop, it is Josh Weddle. And if you want Sicily to get back to his form, could you look at a backline of Paris, Battle, Sicily, and then you've got Hardwick as your small, whoever else, and then you've got a midfield of Newcombe, Day, Warpool, Nash, and Weddle. And Weddle could very well be that game breaker.
I think Weddle is one of their next steps. They really need to work out where he best thrives.
He was the one who won them the game that third quarter.
Yep.
He literally got them back into it by himself.
So many signs from him. That
Could
he's gonna be
he?
something fantastic.
Could the next step be? He's a similar size to a Cripps, a Danger, a Bont. Could he be that type of player for them?
Yeah.
That's the question I want to say.
That's the most upside, I reckon. But yeah, for me, B+.
Yeah. I think I'd go C+. I don't think based off expectation, considering they were almost flag favourites at stages, I don't see it being that good of a year so far.
That's fine. Adelaide is our final one, probably ending on the highest note.
Yep.
Despite their loss against Hawthorn last week, they still have shown so much excitement throughout the season. I think they sit 4th. Where are they sitting right now? I think they're 4th at the moment.
Yes.
They have had a really, really positive season, considering for a while we've been seeing them as one of those lower teams, one of the teams that just can't seem to get it done. They're getting it done now. Obviously, the headliners are the 3-headed monster in the forward line. Those guys are just tough to play against. And then you think about, even if they don't grab it and clunk it, they've got the threat on the floor. Rochelli's been off and on. He's had some incredible moments, but just not a consistent player whatsoever. Ben Keys, I think, has been the player that they want Rochelli to be, to really bring it all together. And then Rankin has been that nice little forward/mid that's really been continuing that excitement all throughout the ground. Honestly, in the midfield, it feels like it's just been Dawson. Dawson's having a fantastic season.
It's been Dawson. It's been a collection of everyone else. Like Rankin's had his time in there. They've started to play Rochelli in there a bit more as well. Sam Berry has played a bit of a tagging role at times.
I was going to say, but Dawson is the one that I look at and go, that is the head of this monster. If he is firing, Adelaide is firing.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it showed in their game against Hawthorn, right? He had a good game, but nothing fantastic. And that's what ended up costing them. When Dawson has really good games, the entire team is firing. The captain, he is a true leader in the biggest sense of it. When he is on, the team around him is on fire along with him. So he is, I wouldn't say the lone guy in there, the only one doing well, but man, do they love him a lot down in Adelaide.
I'm sure they do because he's a superstar.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say for Adelaide is Kane wants to talk about their forward line and the 3 talls, but for me, it's their back line. I know that their forward line has struggled against the best teams at the minute, but their back line has stood up in recent weeks. 47 points, 62 points. There are a couple other really strong performances. You were strong on their back line, not holding them back this year. Is it too tall? Because on the weekend, you had Butts, you had Curtin playing on the wing as almost half-backer. You got Hinge, you got Worrell, you got Keane, you've got Wayne Miller there. There's a lot of height in that. So my only thing is, if a team like Brisbane comes up against you and they kick accurately and they have that speed that your team defense might not be able to handle, is that the weak point?
Yeah.
I love Worrell. He's been great. Love Keane. Been great. Love Hinge. Been great. There are a couple plays there that are a bit iffy when this ball comes in at speed. Yeah.
For these guys, I'd give them an A. The only reason I wouldn't give them an A+ is because they flop too much.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'll give them an A. I think a lot of people did expect them to make finals again after potentially being top 14 last year.
I was going to say they are top 4 right now, which is why I'm giving them A. I would have given them A- if they were like just outside the 4.
But again, great season so far. Don't stink it up in the second half.
For their sake. Yeah. All right, now you've got some news.
Yeah, a bit quick fire. Jamarra Ugle-Hagan has apparently returned to the kennel today.
Mm-hmm.
Spoke to his teammates, apologised for a couple of things, clearly didn't for some others, which we might have broken. Who knows?
Are you trying to like throw back to that?
Hey, people liked it.
Yeah, they did like it.
People really liked it.
I don't know.
I do also have
views, I guess.
Correct, and I'm doing a Damien Barrett right now, and I'm checking my messages because I have some inside news.
You've got some inside sources.
I have some inside news.
What are they?
Jamarra Ugle-Hagan was 2 nights ago spotted at the Osborne Hotel in South Yarra, just a few days out from his return at the club after a leave of absence back in April, per LG.
Lovely.
Apparently, he was heading in and out of rooms. He was not talking to anyone. He was hanging with very strange people. And he might have done some things that he probably shouldn't have. However...
Allegedly.
All allegedly. However, he's back at the club. He hopes, apparently, to play some VFL this year. Whether he does or doesn't is going to be intriguing. I don't think he gets back into the AFL team. I just don't think with Rory Lobb in there, he would be happy with Jamarra.
For them, I don't even think they really need him at the moment.
Yeah, well, no, they do need it because Aaron Norton's dog shit, but, you know.
I think Norton's been playing better as of late. I think Sam Darcy is going to help him out tremendously.
Did you not see the stinker he put up last week?
What, against St Kilda?
No, not this week. Last week.
No, I don't remember that one.
Exactly.
Fair enough, I guess. If he played bad, then he played bad.
And you shouldn't be needing a guy who is 4 years younger than you to be that much better than you.
Oh, well.
Bit shameful.
That is the Jamarra watch, I guess, from Behm. Behm's Jamarra
We need the
watch.
content, man. We need the content. It's the only thing that pops off.
All right, now I want to have a little chat in regards to breakout forwards. I'll keep this one short too because this one is a little bit of a question because we saw a lot of fantastic forward performances. Obviously, that GWS Brisbane game was full of them. The Mitch Georgiades big game. I'd even saw some small ones. I hate to bring it back to my boys, but the game against Freo, Josh Tracy, even though it wasn't on the scoreboard, was fantastic. Played such a big role. And
Georgiades.
Well, I had mentioned him, did I not?
I don't know.
You just don't listen, do you?
Yeah.
But my main question regarding it, I had 3 main questions that I'm going to kind of briefly talk about.
Okay.
Are we too harsh when judging younger forwards?
Always.
Always?
Always.
Deserved?
What do you mean by deserved?
As in, should we be judging them this harshly?
There's always going to be grey area.
Because it feels like these young key forwards have so many different timelines. You see Thilthorpe, who's been around for a few years now, finally starting to hit that point that you'd like to see him. This feels like Cadman's first big game. I'm sure he's had bigger games, but this felt like the first time we've properly seen it work out in a big game like this before. And then you look at the ones who come out and immediately do it. I'm trying to think of the top. Well, if we go really far back, we think of Buddy Franklin. But in terms of modern day forwards, I'm thinking of the likes of Logan Morris, who has had a little bit of time and now has started to really come out and absolutely smash it. and those are like the rare timelines where it happens in half a year to a year.
Cal Shadir was another one at the
Cal
back end of
Shadir,
last
that
year.
happened really quickly too. How long do you think we should give forwards time to break out before they move on? Because 2 teams did it to Hogan, and now look at him. That's a really long timeline.
Well, Hogan was good though. Hogan had a really good first year, and then he had 2 bouts of testicular cancer and some like personal issues.
Yeah.
So like for Hogan, it's tough. But top end picks, you give as long as you need, because there's a reason you've taken them there. They have the talent. Might just take some things to work out. You have to give them a year in the AFL to see, is there signs? If there are no signs, you have your concerns, and then you can start talking about that. But then within 3 years, if they're still not finding a base of consistency where they can kick 1.5 goals a game, then you can start showing concerns. But when you've got injuries, look at Kerno. He had 3 straight knee recos, and then now look at what he's doing. Jeremy Cameron, he was great from day dot. There's always going to be differences, and that's really difficult for teams to be able to
because
analyze.
The one thing I've always noticed is that people are just so quick to bash these guys if they don't perform in year one, especially these top picks.
Yeah.
Cadman is just one that comes to my head because the minute he had his 5-goal game, I just immediately thought back in my head, all the people saying, what a waste of a pick. And now you've got people like Kane Corns coming out saying North Melbourne are going to rue the fact they didn't pick him.
Rue.
That's a good one. I'll give you that one. But they picked Sheasel and Wardlaw in that draft.
Yeah.
And people are now questioning after that game, should they have picked a key forward?
Again, it's also the fact that they're overreacting to one game.
I get that it's an overreaction.
So Cadman's not going to come out and kick 5 goals next week.
Yeah, it's just why I wanted to mention it, because it feels like this is such a strange conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
People almost don't bring it up because of the fact that, it's such an in-the-moment thing. All of a sudden, this forward who's been kicking 1 goal every so often, been waiting to make that sign, kicks 5.
Yeah.
And now you're like, okay, this is what we wanted in a game that we needed it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my last part of it was just how important is the factor of the team around them, right? We think of Nick Larkey, how good he may be on a different team. Don't ever happen. I don't need that happening anytime soon. But
come to the Saints, man. We'll offer you $10 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him for leaving at that point. But if the team is bad around him, is that a big enough factor to hold back your criticism?
Depends how bad.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You look at Larkey 2023, where he made the All-Australian team and he finished 3rd in the Coleman. You guys are dog shit that year. And then you look at what he's doing now when you're performing a lot better. It's sort of, he hasn't really navigated out. That's a bit of the issue. So, like, you can, but at the same time, you can't.
We'll move to a little segment we've got here. We're going to smash this one out, and then we're going to head to our preview for round 15. Yes. But you brought it up, and I think it's what the hell is this? What's he doing here?
I would rather a 3-peat every day of the week.
Why is this what we've used for it?
You filmed for him. You're his work buddy.
Okay, I mean, fair enough, but I guess we'll use that. Sure. We've got a bit of Would You Rather going on. Yes. Cardman's made a little appearance, I guess. Yeah, fair enough. Who do we want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
My idea.
My idea. Fair enough.
Commentators, BT or Matt Hill? Who would you rather?
I love Matt Hill. He's really good. Not because I think BT's got some memorable moments, but Matt Hill he's just so crisp. He's so good at it.
Melbourne's goal kicking or Brisbane's goal kicking?
I heard him go, oh, that's a tough one. The producer even thought that's a good one. You got the producer going, oh, that's a tough one.
The guy who's probably never watched a Brisbane or Melbourne game.
Brisbane, I think. Logan Morris is the main thing about it because he's got potential to be nuclear.
And ironic, given I had this written down before I even saw that side, nor the AFL or Cardman 22.
That sucks. That's an
I had this written down before you put that on.
I'm not answering that.
I am Cardman 22.
You flog. You're the worst. All right. I'm going to do 3 of mine. I've only got 3, but I'm going to do 3 of them. Keep Wanganeen Millera and lose the chance at TDK, or receive TDK but lose Wanganeen Millera.
Give me Naz every day of the week.
You want Naz more than TDK?
We've already got Rowan, who's
I guess
good
so,
enough
but you think at the idea of he's getting a bit old now.
TDK is going to be earning $2.5 million next year. Let's spend that on Zach Butters and Harley Reid.
That's fair enough. That's a good way of getting out of it. I liked it.
Thank you.
Watch a game in Adelaide or Tassie.
I've only done one, so I'll say I'll go to Tassie and try it before I bag them.
Okay, that's a good way of... Oh, I wish you had gone to Tassie. Damn.
Actually, when I went to Tassie for a school trip, I really liked it.
Oh, Tassie's a good place. It's a bit dead, but but like the grounds themselves are beautiful.
Yeah.
I love
roof.
Ninja Stadium so much.
Aside from there being no roof.
Yeah, I guess so. But like at the same time, I don't really care that much. It's a fantastic place.
Okay, fair enough. Shut up. Go on, next one.
Hold the record for the most games or the most goals.
Ooh. Would I rather beat a North Melbourne player
Shut up!
or former St Kilda player? Obviously, I'd rather beat the former North Melbourne player, and then 2 St Kilda people would be at the top of the list.
Fair, I know him more for being Sydney, so...
I mean, he's known for being a St Kilda player, but sure.
No, I
sure,
know
buddy.
him more for Sydney.
Sure, buddy.
I know him more for
Sure,
Sydney.
buddy.
He's more Sydney.
Shut up.
The only thing I know him for in St Kilda was knocking out the Sydney player and then going to Sydney the next time around.
Yeah.
That was good. I feel like we could do that more often, but...
Should be an every weeker.
Yeah, it should be. I like it.
Mm-hmm. I got
just
more.
Get to... Oh, God, here we go. Get a couple more in. Go on.
Okay. Zach Butters or Max Holmes?
Max Holmes, because Zach Butters plays for Port.
Just by relation of JHF. Okay. Logan Morris or Jamarra Ugle-Hagan, given we're just speaking about them.
Logan Morris.
Really?
Jamarra, you don't know if he's going to play.
If Jamarra plays.
If Jamarra plays...
Start of next year.
I would say Jamarra more than, because he's got more experience. I think he's better at grabbing a mark. Can have some accuracy issues, that's definitely for sure. But Jamarra has shown a lot of great signs on the field.
Love.
I just think right now, though, if we're talking current situations they're in, Logan Morris.
One of them doesn't even play.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them probably shouldn't be on an AFL list with the shit he does. But, you know, same shit, different smell.
Logan Morris, I'd say him currently,
Okay.
but in terms of talent that we've seen, Jamarra.
Okay, easy. Game of the week.
Cats v Lions.
Lions
We
3
bring it
feet.
back. Yes. Oh, look at him. He's so happy to talk about this one.
Nice
now you
little
fade
fade.
out of existence. That was
little
nice.
fade. Low taper fade.
Shut up. This one is the 3rd time in a row, I believe, has been mentioned that
Correct.
we put the Lions in our game of the week.
Correct.
They just keep finding themselves in these positions,
Good
man.
teams, good games.
Good teams show up with good games.
Yeah, too bad North Melbourne and St Kilda aren't involved.
Yeah, thank God Collingwood aren't they?
True. They play St Kilda this week. Could have had that.
Oh, I was not watching that.
Yeah.
I don't need to put notes down on that one. I'm going to get 2 different people with notes for that one. Cats, I think, come in favourite for this one for certain. Lions, it's going to be a really, really rough one for him. Shannon Neal looks really good. Myers has been getting around the ground more and getting more involved. Cameron is leading the Coleman currently. It just feels like the Cats have more matchups going their way. And just with a depleted backline, it just feels like... I really do believe this could get out of hand. This could be a game that becomes a big margin.
Really?
Yeah.
To me, this is giving very much a vibe win for Brisbane.
You're doing a vibe pick this week?
Exactly what you did last week.
I respect it after last week's
Because
GWS vibe from me.
2 weeks of inaccuracy, really bad inaccuracy.
Yeah.
Going down to Geelong, where they haven't been perfect. We know that. I'm just seeing, could this be the week that Cam Rayner goes ballistic?
What would his matchup be?
That's the thing. Maybe Mark O'Connor. Not great.
It's not their best one, but
Zach Guthrie, maybe.
O'Connor's been doing his thing. Guthrie feels a bit too small for him, I reckon.
Exactly. They don't have someone who's really good enough to go with him in the midfield.
O'Sullivan?
Or big enough. He's got the athleticism. Maybe Stewart. Stewart could be the one.
would be a big... I feel like would be a big
This is the thing.
overreaction.
Who could go to him? Because
Yeah.
there's no genuine matchup. Probably going to be O'Connor, I'd
Yeah.
assume, unless
Yeah,
you
yeah,
tag someone in the midfield. So that's my thing. Could this be Cam Rayner's breakout game?
I was leaning more towards the smaller guys. Zach Bailey. Is McCarthy's not playing, is he?
No.
No.
Did his ACL, mate.
That's right. I
Yeah,
was trying to
you
think
got
why I was thinking
Lohman,
McCarthy.
Lohman,
Lohman's been
Archie,
disappointing.
Archie.
Archie's been all right.
Cameron.
Cameron,
Mm-hmm.
very on and off. We've seen it so many times before. if they go off, they can make this close, I reckon. But I just think the Cats are going to really have a lot of fun in that forward line. Paddy Dangerfield is one I completely forgot. He's been playing fantastic. Even with the few possessions he got last week, he still did his thing.
I think it was 11 touches, 10 score involvements.
Yeah, just unreal.
Yeah.
You do have to be understanding of the fact that they came up against Essendon, but an inexperienced Essendon, I may add. But this team feels ready to pounce on these guys. Pardon the pun. They're ready to pounce as the Cats. Funny, haha.
Yeah,
but
shut up, man.
I think it's going to be a Cats 40-point win.
40 points?
40 points.
I'm going to go a close game. I think when Geelong lose at home, it isn't a close game. And it's normally high scoring as well. They've hit 100 against the Bulldogs and GWS, both teams. So I'm going to go very similar. I'm going to go really close. 109 to 111. Lions by 2.
Oh, picking the Lions. Okay. I respect it.
5 win.
To be fair, if there's any team to do it, it's the Lions.
Yep.
If there's any team to do it. I just think the Cats have just got too much class at the moment. They look really good. The Cats and the Pies are just a level above everyone to me. That's our game of the week. Let's have a look at the rest of the week in terms of the round 15 matchups. Starting off with Freo versus Essendon at Optus. This is a bit of an interesting one. I'd say, look, it's just more the fact that Essendon feel like they're really struggling to get numbers at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that's all that's really letting them down. So Freo should take this one, but we saw them struggle against North, a team that not many people would have thought that have been that competitive.
But they do now have a game of experience off the bye, a tough, hard-fought game. Hayden Young might be back. I don't know if he is, but if he is, that would be great for them.
Poor bugger's starting to be injury-prone now.
Yeah, not looking great.
Not what they want to see.
Dockers by 52.
I'm going to go... I've said that Essendon have got the grit that Richmond does. I'm going to go Freo by 23.
It'll be interesting to see whether they start slow and then work their way into the game like they have in everything except the Geelong game, or if they want to continue to just be shit.
Yeah, that's what they
and
chose
get blown
to do.
out.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Blues versus North. Last time this happened
going?
was... I wish I was going. I'm working that day. But at the MCG... last time we played him was the Good Friday Clash, and that was the worst performance of the year so far by us.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
No. Potentially no Macca, potentially no Curnow, no Walsh.
I mean, no Walsh is confirmed. He's out for at least a month.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But no Curnow and no Macca I didn't know about. I know Macca had been out for a bit, but
he's
Curnow...
a specialist in knees.
Yeah.
So not great for him. And Curnow, we don't know the extent of his calf soreness.
Well, I'd like to think that North can match the talent on the midfield end of the Blues because, I mean, it's a tough one. You got TDK, Cripps, Chera, not Newman. Who am I thinking of?
Sard.
No, it's not Sard. Who's the...
Hollands.
No. Why am I forgetting...
What's his number?
I don't know his number, but I know who it is. Hewitt. Hewitt's been really good. So they've got some decent midfielders in there, but I'd like to think that Sherry is up there with TDK, LDU, Sheasel. Wardlaw's just a bull. They've got a lot of hard hitters, and I think North's clearance work is the best for their team out of everything that the team does. Their midfield work is some of the best. But I'm just trying to think elsewhere. Thankfully, our backline isn't going to get peppered, which is what it looks like whenever Curnow, Macca, and all those forwards are in. But I'm just trying to think, do Carlton move around some matchups to really take advantage of those mismatches? So I think this is a perfect game to put Cripps into the forward line. He will feast
They've moved McGovern there.
Really?
Because they have to. They got
Fair enough, I guess.
O'Keefe was their backup ruckman. He's now injured with a hamstring. It's no Curnow, no Macca. It's going to be...
kicked 3 goals against West Coast.
It's going to be McGovern. It's probably going to be Ashton Moyer, and it could be Harry Lemmy or Lewis Young.
Fogarty's been doing his thing too.
Yeah, Zach Williams has hit the scoreboard.
Yeah. So there's ways that they can counter the loss of their forward talent.
Results.
I'm never confident with my boys, but they've been competitive. I'm going to say Blues win it by 3.
3 points. Classic game. Carlton by 21. I was
going to do the shaking thing again to... no, never mind.
Yeah, no. We don't do that two weeks in a row. It's a bit poor from you, mate.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Bit
reuse
poor.
old bits. That's all right. I think we're both in the same camp that the Blues can take this.
Yep.
I just hope that it's competitive because every time I haven't been confident with these boys, they have managed to surprise me. But now that I'm confident, I'm worried they're going to mess me up. They're going to really do me dirty here.
Yeah, this is a game Carlton just need to win.
Absolutely. Port versus the Swans at Adelaide Oval again.
Really
for Port Adelaide.
weird game. Really weird game.
I don't think there's honestly too much to say outside of I think Port's going to win this.
Okay.
Swans coming off a bye, so awesome for rest. Not so good in the fact that they're still missing the talent that they need.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a Port Adelaide win by 25. I've loved the move for Rosie to the half-back line. And his rotation has
Worked
been
really well.
so helpful for him.
Yep.
He's really showing, and it's providing him more opportunities to put in more effort at certain ball stoppages. So just playing as a general backman has worked out wonders for him. It's almost revitalized his purpose within this team. I think a lot of players can fall under the idea of getting the same role every time. They need a new challenge to go after. So Rosie, that halfback, ever since he's been given that role and starting in that halfback flank position, has revitalized and rejuvenized his play. I think sometimes he comes off a bit uninspired before this change. Now it comes off a lot more exciting. And again, with a bit more purpose.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a draw. I cannot pick a winner. And
Yeah, I guess
Sydney
so.
off their bye will really be looking to prove a point and wanting to contend to make the 8 this year. Port are now pushing for finals again. But I don't like either of these teams. So
I don't like either of these things.
draw.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've tipped a draw the last 3 weeks. Neither of them have worked out.
Yeah. What are you saying for this one? Pies v Saints. Pies by
I've got-
150.
I've got too much confidence that will fucking bounce back. Got
How
too
are you
much
going to say that
confidence.
against the Pies?
Because we're awesome, that's why.
You don't even believe that.
Correct.
I think, well, look, it's at Marvel, and they've shown signs of struggle at Marvel, but at the same time, this Pies team is just really solid. They're really
Yep.
professional. The way they play is going to make any team spin in circles. So I'm going to say Pies win this by 50.
Fitty bomb.
50.
Dropping a Giannis on us.
Yeah, 50.
Wow. I'm not going to go that crazy. I'm going to go a really close game. Pies by 7. Saints, please go young. Please. Please.
Is there a reason this is here?
Yes. This is...
Yeah, you're looking right into the camera. Go on.
That's changing everything. Ross Lyon. My sanity for the rest of the year is dependent on whether you can bring in Alex Taru. He was great on the weekend in the VFL. 12 of his 16 disposals were marked. Looked really good. Had 10 intercept possessions. Please, for the sake of my life, I'm going to do a reason. I'm going to shake while grabbing the microphone. I'm joking.
Don't steal.
Please bring in Alex Taru so I have a hope to live for. Thank you very much. Pies by 7.
Pies by 7.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. You think they're going to do what they did against the Cats? Do you?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Giants versus Suns, the expansion cup.
Yep. Weird game.
Really
For
weird
whatever
game.
reason.
What is ES?
NG Stadium.
Oh, I'm stupid.
Yes. We know this.
I thought.
Don't.
Yeah, no, I'm very stupid. NG Stadium. Expansion cup's always very interesting
Always.
because
Really
like, should I
weird.
care about it? I don't know.
I've never cared about it.
I feel like I should
Irrelevant.
care about it though, especially now when both teams are decent.
Yeah. Suns coming off a bye. Giants coming off a really impressive win against Brisbane.
But they've always struggled at home.
know.
They've really struggled at home.
This is the thing. I could see Gold Coast coming out really well, wanting to kick off their second half of the season. But the Giants are in a good... They just got a good win.
Yeah.
But they're not good at home. Gold Coast aren't good away.
Which one cancels out? I don't know.
One's a really good young team. One's an inconsistent young team. One's got one good forward. One's got 2 good forwards.
I'm going to say Giants take this one.
I got no idea.
But is it another draw, is it?
Yes.
I'm going to take Giants by 5 points.
I like the close game prediction. But I think I'm going to go Suns. I think they've instilled more confidence in me. And I think they've had time to work on their forward issues, which is their main sticking point.
The reason I'm going the Giants is because it's not a game where I go, all right, the Giants should win this. I don't know which way this is going. I'm just tipping Giants. I'm
Yeah.
not saying, oh, yeah, Giants will get this. Because if I say that, they're not winning. Every single time, it feels like. The games that they should win, they don't win.
Fair.
And then the games that they shouldn't win, like last week, they go ahead and win. It's really weird. But, yeah, I think the Giants are going to take this one at home. Apparently the rare one at home. But we move to Sunday Arvo at Marvel. Dogs v Tigers.
Yikes.
The matchup of the year. The Dogs have had a lot of fun against bad teams.
Is this a Dogs by 80?
This could be a Dogs by 80.
I'm going Dogs by 11.
I'm going Dogs by 80. Hey, screw it.
Going Dogs by 11.
The Tigers haven't allowed teams to really pump them by that much this year. I think the only one has been Port. They have been pumped.
They got pumped by like 80 and 70 in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, it's happened before, but they do show fight. That's the reason why I say that, because I think the Tigers can find times where they really, really show out.
Producer is getting very jittery. He wants us to fucking wrap up.
Yeah, producer. Well, no one cares about the producer, do we?
But
You want to
no one
talk for
cares
another
about us
30 minutes about St Kilda and North?
Let's do more Who Would You Rather.
I am going to end it for the sake of our producer, however.
Aw.
I think he stopped laughing. But I appreciate
Can I do
your...
one more Who Would You Rather?
All right, to end the podcast.
St Kilda or Essendon in 3 years' time?
Neither. Draw. Thank you very much for tuning in to the podcast. I appreciate you all very much once again. I hope to see you all in a future episode. I'm going to listen to Ben cry for about 30 minutes, and I hope to see you all in another episode. So appreciate you all once again. See you on the next one.
I got a Saints podcast I got to do. I'm going to kill myself.
No one cares. No one cares, blood. We're here for Zero Access. Please.